Hello and welcome back to the Other 14 FC podcast. I'm Alex, jubilant Crystal Palace fan.
And I'm Tom, a West Ham fan.
And welcome back to your podcast. It's everything not top six. You're tired of your team being last on match of the day and not getting the flowers they deserve? Well, that's about to change because we're about to shine light on those other 14 teams. Tom, how was your weekend? I know it wasn't as good as mine, but how was it, Borough?
Yeah, mine was very uneventful compared to yours. Just a lot of packing and I went to the football on Sunday. But let's talk about yours. How was your weekend, mate?
Oh, mate, it was just magical from beginning to end. I got to live out my actual dream that I thought would never ever come true. I think there may be a lot of football fans out there supporting the other 14 teams that were in the same shoes as me, thinking I'm never going to see my team win anything in my lifetime, and to have that dream come true, it's just, it's unbelievable. But we'll get into it more. Do you want to take a break now and then we'll dive into it a bit deeper?
Yeah, let's save all that chat for a minute.
Nice, cool. Okay, catch you guys in a sec.
Hello and welcome back to the Other 14 FC podcast. There's only one place to start this weekend. The FA Cup winners, Crystal Palace. Alex, how was Saturday?
It was unbelievable from beginning to end. I don't know what it was. For some reason, I woke up. I've been to the previous final we'd lost in 2016. Obviously, wasn't born for 1990. But there was something about the day where I just woke up and I was like, this is it. This is going to be the day. And I think, weirdly enough, a lot of Palace fans, even though they were anxious, they thought it just felt like the final culmination of everything it meant to be a Palace fan and to be a South London in certain ways. And it's speechless. I've never cried so much. I've never laughed so much. I've never cheered so much. Lost my voice. Probably never even drunk as much. But it was just a day where I met my mate very early at Wetherspoons at 9:30. Had some beers, and we weren't as nervous as the semi-finals. But there was just it's got to happen. Or whatever happens is going to be our day for it. And then meeting up with my mum at Covent Garden and a couple more mates, and it's just a South London red and blue takeover of the streets of London, all the way to Wembley Way, where all you could see was red and blue as well, into the fan zone. And by that time, I'm there just dancing away after a few too many beers, in all honesty. And then into the ground, and you just know what's going to come next from the Palace fans. We're lucky enough to have the Homestead Fanatics, who are a little ultra section that will make sure they put on display, where I think they raised over 45k for this display from charitable donations from fans, which it's crazy to think. But then the display goes out before kickoff, and it's instantly something that's written in Palace history, from a kid celebrating with dad for a League Cup game against Man United away with the Dan Ambrose screamer. And I don't know if you've heard the motion and the story behind that, but there's two kids had their dad die of cancer in the last few years, and they had no idea about this, and they were actually in the stands at Wembley, and someone managed to get a picture of them when it went up, and of course they were into it.
I saw the story afterwards and I was like, that just makes it so much better, and it puts the icing on the cake of the day, sort of thing. But it also summarizes Palace as a club.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? There's something. I know City had the Kevin De Bruyne banner at the other end with the cards, and I don't know if that was club or fan funded, but you can tell that's just one player in their history. That's one thing that's ticked off. That was a moment every Palace fan can look to and know exactly what it was, and just in spirits everything about the club and how much it meant to us that day. And then the game goes on. I'm bricking it, I'm not going to lie, when the game starts. And then we break away, get the first goal. The limbs were unbelievable, but from memories of being at the Etihad where we went 2-0 up, I was still a bit worried. But the point where I didn't know we were going to win, I won't be that fucking, that shameful saying I knew we were going to win that, but that penalty save, it changed something in my head.
It really felt like luck was on Palace's side at that point. I think there were a couple of contentious decisions, which we'll get into in a minute. But yeah, from those sort of early decisions, it felt like, right, but Lady Luck is shining down on Palace today, and this could be the greatest day of their history.
That's it, because we didn't get any luck in the 2016 one with Mark Clanberg as ref, and even Mark Clanberg at the end of that one, he's laughing with Sir Alex Ferguson, showing tattoos together, and you're there what is this madness? But I'll be honest with the penalty. when it got given, I was like, yeah, definite penalty, and I was just like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this.
I don't
You
blame
know,
you.
and I went up to the concourse and I was lying on the floor, and the watch had a screen when I was lying from the floor. I could see it from. I saw it saved, and then I was like, "That's it. I'm on this floor until half time." I had like people walking past me, I had stewards and everything going past me, but I think everyone knew I just needed a moment, just lying there in Wembley with my head in my hands, like, "Oh my God, I can't do this." But then go back after half time with a few more pints of courage, I guess, and then that second half, although City had loads of chances. I just never felt too uncomfortable. Even at the last 10 minutes, I never thought that this is it, they're going to score now, which might be crazy from looking at the highlights, but it was just that. And then when I think it's Doku squeals that last shot that goes well past the post, that was the moment my mum and my best mate who were next to me, they just dropped to the floor and started crying. For probably the first time in the game, I wasn't the one outright crying. I was there like, I don't know if he's going to blow the whistle. And then when the whistle goes, I'm there on my knees as well. All three of us hugging and crying. I think we put a video out to socials. Like, that sense of ecstasy and high is something I've never really felt before in my life. And it just hasn't stopped being like that since. Like, it's the Wednesday after the Saturday. And yeah, people may say like the chase is better than actually getting what you want, but I think every Palace fan will say like we're getting what we want and what we've dreamt of since all our lifetimes has been more than we could ever ask for. But that's probably enough emotion for anyone or anything. If we actually want to talk some tactics in the game, I'll probably let you take that away because you probably have a more unbiased eye to everything, to most of the crap I've just probably said.
Yeah, I mean, from an emotional side of things, it really reminded me of a couple of years ago when West Ham won the Conference League. The exact same emotions that you've described, the anxiety, the sheer relief at full time. I remember dropping to my knees in Box Park and tears flowing, just like the realization that we'd done it, we'd won something in my lifetime that it seemed a far-fetched dream. So,
That's
and
it.
those days after where it's just like pure elation. I remember for at least like 3 days I was out doing something. It was the trophy parade. They were seeing friends, and it was just like, and obviously everyone knows you're a Palace fan and I'm a West Ham fan. So like for me, it was ever like all my friends and that being like, how was it? Like you must be on cloud 11 and stuff. And I know it's been the same for you this week. So yeah.
It's just Eric asked for, and we got like the parade on Monday, so that's something I never thought of seen. Can you imagine? You live in Thornheath, obviously. Like, can you imagine a parade going through Thornheath? My best mate was joking, like it's going to get the wheels nicked off it before it
I
gets.
never thought I'd see the day there'd be a trophy parade down Thornton Heath High Street.
Madness.
But yeah, let's jump into the game a little bit. It was I thought it was a really interesting game tactically. I think it really played out exactly kind of how you'd expect. Like Palace defending deep a lot, but they were always a threat on the counter, and they really suffered for the first 15 minutes until, because that counter was really like the first, like the one the goal comes from was kind of really the first succinct breakaway, the one that it actually like linked up, it stuck in Mateta's feet, he found the right pass, the space opened up for Munoz and stuff, like, but the first 15 minutes was like, oh man, Palace are deep here. There's like the City are creating openings. So, but once Palace got in front, it felt like, right, that is exactly what they wanted to do. Like Glasner would have like set the team out, you would have all known that was the type of pressure you were going to come under straight from the beginning, and it would have been like, sit tight, don't get down because you're defending too much. The chances will come. And it's an excellent goal. It's a very typical Palace under Glasner
It
goal.
really is, yeah. Really, like it's almost a carbon copy of what we scored at the Etihad like a few months ago. But basically, on that, if you're looking at the sideline, I think one of the coverages picked it up in that first like 15 minutes. You're looking at Glasner, he sat back in his chair and he's like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm expecting to happen. And Guardiola's the one on the sideline going mental, like out of his technical area. And I think the whole tactics of the game of what Glasner wanted the team to do was basically summarised by his quote he gave Pep at the end of that 5-2 loss. Like, if you play like that again, we'll solve it and we'll beat you. And it's exactly what happened. And yes, we had lucky moments, which we'll probably get onto next, but it was just being able to soak up all that pressure and then just pounce like a spring and go when we needed to.
That's
But
the thing, yeah, because it wasn't you got the one goal, but there were a couple of other opportunities like it after. Obviously, one of them, a later one, was disallowed for offside. But there was a couple of other counter attacks specifically that Palace could have got a goal from. They were close on a couple other opportunities. So I would absolutely say that this wasn't a complete lucky fluke from Palace. Like they knew what they were doing tactically. Of course, they were going to come under pressure, but they managed to. They played out their game exactly how they wanted to, and on the lucky decisions, well, on the contentious decisions, I think the referees got both of them wrong.
do you? Okay, like,
So
I,
let's say the first incident is Henderson handball outside of his box, which was not given as a red card because the direction of the ball is going slightly away from goal.
yeah, I do not agree. Sorry, I agree. No, I don't agree with their terminology. That's complete nonsense. Like, that's bullshit. Like, Haaland is, it doesn't matter. But what I don't get is, like, the keeper can swat it away outside his box like that. No, if his feet are inside the box.
No,
No?
no,
You
no,
know what
no,
I mean?
no. Yeah, someone else actually thought this as well, but yeah, no. If his hand is outside the box, because that's like a basketball rule. Like if their feet are in the court, then their hands can go wherever, and the ball can go outside. But if their feet
Okay.
are in, it's fine. But no, if his feet are in, but his hand is out and he hits it, it should still like if they had given it as a red card, they wouldn't have overturned it.
Yeah, okay. 100% red card. Can't give a fuck.
It was I was so happy that it wasn't given.
Well, it
Like
changes the
just
game,
because,
that. Like,
yeah, like
it's
City
over.
don't need any more advantages.
What do you think that's not given because of the occasion? Oh, just luck. I don't know. We were saying that.
I think the occasion plays into it 100%. I think you can't get away from that. Like one, it's not called in real time because they didn't even give him a yellow or a free kick. So it's kind of missed in real time. Like the lino doesn't see that it's gone, that his hand was outside of his box. So it's completely down to VAR, and a VAR going to go in the 4th minute ish of
Yeah,
the FA Cup final. Yeah, I think you need to send him off here. They found an excuse to not do it, I think, by saying, oh, the ball's going slightly away. But especially when you factor in that it's Erling Haaland, he's easily going to wrap his foot around that and
yeah.
score if he can get, if it's not battered away.
That's it. I can't. Yeah, I can't not agree with that one. I think the second one, the penalty. Like, I think Mitchell gets a toe to it, but then if it's not
Yeah.
given for me, I'd probably be annoyed if I'm being honest.
So at real time, I was like, "Ah, Stonewall penalty. Like he's not got the ball. The man's made contact and gone down." But then you see the replays, and it's like, "Oh, I thought this was where VAR would actually intervene and go, no." There's a specific replay for sure that you can see the ball
All just makes it,
direction
doesn't it? Yeah.
change after it looks like it touches Mitchell's toe. So I really thought that that's one where the use of VAR would come in and we'd get that overturned. And I was very happy that it was saved because like that felt like justice as well. It's always those that when you feel like you get a penalty that's a bit like contentious or probably shouldn't have been, it's always a relief to see it saved because it's like, all right, okay, it didn't actually matter. And it
Yeah.
ended up, as you say, it ended up being like a galvanizing point for Palace to be like, right, we've saved the penalty. Luck is on our side today.
It really was. It was basically what made the difference for us. Like like I said earlier, I think that's the point where we thought, oh my God, we're actually going to win this now. We're going to get away with it. But yeah, I mean, it was a great save by Henderson. I mean, he had one of the best
A
games.
number of saves,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's that one and a Doku one that everyone's like off their seats about, where it's just incredible. And Yeah, I think every player which just stood out was amazing. Like Munoz was just doing his bit. I'm gutted his goal didn't count in the end. Like obviously offside from Ismail Sarr, but just like if any player deserves a like winning goal or like a finishing off goal in a final, it's him because he just does not stop and he's like puts everything in it for this team this year, and he's been
Yeah,
probably player of the season.
yeah, he's been unreal this season, and in this game he was electric. Like he probably had to defend a lot more than he usually does because he's quite an attacking right
Yeah,
wing back. Like he loves to bomb forward, and he often gets loads of space on that right with Sarr kind of drifting inwards to like one of the like to sort of almost partner Mateta up top a lot of the time. Like Munoz essentially becomes your right winger a lot of the game.
basically, that's what he is. He's one of the only ones in the Premier League who's like a wing back though. Like I feel a
A
lot of people are
proper
getting
wing
jilted
back.
into that role. Do you know what I mean? But he's actually one of them that's like, oh, he does this perfectly. He has like enough
Yeah,
of a balance between the two. A lot of like more attacking than they are actually defending.
for sure. I think he's like played wing back for a lot of his career. Like I would hesitate to put him at right back for a long period of time, but I think he could probably do it. Like he is such a good player that he could probably do it, but he's just like so comfortable as a right wing back. And he pocketed Doku in this match. Like he made Doku look a little bit embarrassing, like because he let him do the Doku things of I'm going to do 50 step overs, but then whenever the ball was had to be delivered, like whenever Doku had to actually do something, Munoz was there either forcing him into a worse cross than he needed to, or blocking the cross altogether. So he's absolutely one that needs a shout out. Obviously, he was player of the match, well deserved. It has a massive part to play in the goal with having all that space in City's right back slot. And another player that I in the defensive line that I need to give loads of credit to is Chris Richards.
He's been immense. Like we were wide when we lost Chalobah, but after a few games coming back into the team where he seemed a bit rusty, he's shown why Bayern Munich like went in for him all those years ago, and he's becoming like more than just a starter for us. He's going to be hopefully in the solid in that defense for years to come. It's just his timing is perfect on it. His recovery pace is good, and I think you've picked out in your notes heading like he is immense. Like
It was absolute machine at heading. It was like there were so many crosses that came in, and obviously because they had Erling Haaland up top, like you like he's very good in the air. But it felt like every time that they'd make a cross, and it was like Erling Haaland's about to tap it in, or he's about to get his head clean on it. Chris Richards just popped up at the last minute and just like with his afro, just like knock like just get anything on it, or get a very powerful header and just get it out of the area. Like it was an absolute heading machine in this game.
mate, it really was, and I love that he's getting like USA chants from Palace fans and something I never thought I'd hear Palace fans doing, but it's brilliant. And then I mean Gahey as well, like putting his body on the line. I don't know if you noticed, but him and Adam Wharton ended up in hospital after the game. One with a
Yeah.
fractured, well, one with a thought to be fractured eye socket, and the other with concussion. Luckily, Gahey's was taken down from just like nearly a fractured eye socket, but then Adam Wharton just. I wasn't sure if we should have started Wharton and Kamada in the middle for City this time round. I was thinking maybe he plays a bit safer and has Hughes and Lerma in there. But it just showed Kamada helped set up the first goal with some amazing like link up play with Mateta. And then Wharton just runs the show in midfield, and he's basically Zidane.
Yeah, I mean Adam Wharton was special in this game. Like put in my notes, just blood, sweat, tears, and pure class. Like he does all of the dirty sides that you want, that you love to see from a central midfielder. Like he's going to put his body on the line, like make any tackle necessary. But then when he is on the ball, or when he gets the ball, when he gets back up and he has the ball, he's just so classy with it. Like he's not never under pressure. Always seems to find the right pass, whether that is a controlling set, like send it back to a defender, or pass it out to the flank sort of pass, or if it's a line breaking, like set it up, get it through to one of the attacking three sort of thing. Like he's always seemingly making the right pass. Like, and he looks like he's well beyond his years. Like he doesn't look like like, elite footballer. I don't know. He just doesn't have the build or anything, but but the absolute like class, like play with his feet is completely there.
He honestly looks like he should just be in a park somewhere in Blackburn, just kicking the ball around for Sunday League and like being a top player there. But he's doing it in FA Cup finals. He's doing it in the Premier League week in, week out. It's unbelievable, isn't it? But then, I mean, off the pitch, I think you want to pick up on a few feisty moments that were seen.
Yeah, I mean the City bench kind of lost their tempers a bit, and so did a couple of the Palace backroom staff. There was one, I think it was a team doctor or something who got
No,
in each other's faces.
it was the City team doctor again, and Paddy McCarthy,
Yeah,
who used to be the youth team coach for Palace's face. And I was there, like, Paddy McCarthy is one of the hardest geezers. Like, I know he like is captain Palace back in 2010. He was part of our like survival Sunday that kept us up against Sheffield Wednesday and kept the club afloat. So when I see someone squaring up with him, I was like, that geezer has no idea how hard that person is, or he's got biggest balls ever. But I like the comments lots of people putting out there. It's like the medical staff are going bandage for bandage. It's just like
that's good. Yeah, and then Pep. Yeah, Pep lost it from like minute one. He looked rattled from the go, and at the end he's throwing about his stopwatch, complaining about time and everything, like and like time wasting, and it's like have some class, mate. Come on, like it was quite funny seeing Dean Henderson at the end of the game being like showing him like 10 and being like, you got your extra time, like
But I just don't get like how they can be such sore. Like De Bruyne's having a go at Adam Ward when he's on the floor, getting concussion. I mean, it is weird to see players that badly hurt with balls to the head. I'm not going to lie. So you kind of get where De Bruyne's coming from. But it's like you've won so much. You've like been there. Like you got to show some decorum in
have
those
some
days.
yeah, and have
Like,
some grace and decorum,
did
Pep
you
and co.
hear Pep in a couple of interviews? It's like, oh yeah, what's it like a trophy of the season? It's like, no, we won Charity Shield. It's like, oh, bruv, like come on
Oh,
now.
bit rattled, aren't you, mate?
And then bringing on that kid for his debut in an FA Cup final, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And he's like, "Because I'm a good manager." Oh no, it's
Yeah,
because I'm a skilled manager. It's like, oh, these quotes don't sound so good when you've lost like your last few
galaxy brain.
finals. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, that's everything that I had about the game. I think it was obviously the greatest day in Palace's history. It will live long in your memory. I was absolutely ecstatic for Palace as a representative of the other 14. Yeah,
yeah. Just before we move on, I just want to say, like, for everyone that goes football with someone like from their family who they've either gone with or can't go with anymore if they pass away, it's like days like that make you remember what it's for. So I know we have fun talking shit here and now and then about football, but yeah, just remember those people that make football what it is for you because I had the perfect day and yeah, I couldn't have thanked my mum or like them for getting me into football for it so much. But let's take a break quickly before I start balling up again.
yeah. Before the tears come.
Cool, catch you in a sec. Okay, and we're back. I've gone through all my tissues, like crying there. So we'll move on to some actual serious business with all the Premier League action from last weekend. Tom, do you want to start with your team, West Ham?
Yeah, let's go for it. Mainly because the opposition had something to play for. So this one ends West Ham 1, Nottingham Forest 2. And let's start with the Forest side of things because I don't want to be accused of being a homer. So I think the performance from Forest was solid. It was a professional performance where the result mattered a lot more than whatever they did on the pitch. I think obviously they capitalised on an absolute howler from Areola early on, but they had started pretty well and had created a couple of opportunities. Like they forced Areola into a couple of really good saves. Like there's one from Morgan Gibbs White where he's like under 5 yards out from goal and Areola saves it. But then it's Alphonse Areola. 10 minutes later, he passes the ball to Gibbs White.
That's it. Like I was watching the highlights, so I was like, "Oh shit, maybe Areola's going to have like a better game than Searles at the other end." And because he's pulled out some big saves, and he even pulls out quite a big one at the end, I think it is as well. And you're just like, "Oh, he's going to do it," and then he passes it straight to Morgan's White for the goal. And you're like, "Oh no!" It's like well, it must be like so irritating for West Ham fans to see how good he can be, and then just the howlers that like slipping in between it.
Yeah, but he does it too often, so it's very much like I don't think he's ever going to iron it out of his game, and it's probably why I would be strongly considering a new number one, especially with Fabianski being released. But just to continue on Forest for a few minutes more, like I think Morgan Gibbs White was their best player. Obviously, like he has been largely this season. He's obviously got number 10 on his back, but he was popping up as an 8 and a 6 like throughout the team. Like he's always finding the space or wanting to get on the ball to make the team tick. So yeah, he was impressive.
It really was. It looked like me, like from the highlights as well. Langer gave you a bit of trouble on the wing as well. Like I feel like he was finding who's marking him out. Would have been Sufal.
Todibo and Soufal
Yeah.
as like the right centre back and right wing back.
Yeah, I feel like he was finding a lot of space in between there to like really get Forest up the pitch each time. So I don't know if it was quite as end to end as it looked like in the highlights, but it did feel like either team could have taken it, but Forest probably just had that little bit more, and like you say, that little bit more on the line to really push them over the line and get it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think Forest had a little bit more about them and a little bit more nastiness as well. Like in the nicest possible terms, like they played some dark arts in this game.
Really,
Like when they were buying fouls, they were taking plenty of time. Like from the 30th minute ish, like they were taking so long to take throw-ins and goal kicks, etc. And it all just sort of like for my big complaint with West Ham throughout that time was we were just too nice and easy. Like it was all just very like, oh, okay, it's end of season, like we're not things aren't going our way, like it's all right. And then later on in the match, Edson Alvarez and Nicholas Fulkrug came on and they gave us a bit more of a bite, like a bit more steel. Like they crunched into tackles, they weren't like pushed off the ball as much, and they also like we started getting into the ref who played a big part in this. Like not there wasn't a major decision that he got wrong. It was just routine like calls that he was just giving, and he was just breaking up the play every cut like every minute. It was like stop, start, stop, start. You won't be surprised to know that that ref was Sam Barrett.
I don't you worry, I have a lot ready to talk about with the VAR and some other bits, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
just.
I mean the 6 minute VAR check was an absolute joke. Like
So, do you know? I guess you obviously didn't know what happened in the ground with it, but the semi-automated wasn't working, so they had to
yeah,
go back.
and apparently they were having issues with communication. So like the combination of the two is why there was a 6 minute VAR check. But like because obviously this didn't really matter to West Ham fans. It was more frustration. I think a lot of us were just like, just give them the goal. You've already given them the goal. So this VAR check is gonna reprieve us to it being 1-0. Obviously, at the end of the day, that could have got us a draw, but it's a point at the end of the day. Like it wouldn't have got us really moved the needle for us. So a lot of us were like, after a couple of minutes, like just give them the goal. It's not worth like this wait. Like it's killing. It really felt like it had killed the game, and the game only really sparked back into life in the last like 5 minutes of extra like, of normal time when like we made a few changes and then started piling on a bit of pressure, and obviously Bowen gets an unreal goal. Like
It's such a good goal. Like I put in my notes, just fuck me, how good is Bowen? It's a stunner of a goal. It's annoying. It's probably going to get like lost to like the doldrums of like goals that have been scored this season or even this month because there's been quite a few big ones. But it will, yeah, it's a class finish and it shows like how important he is to your West Ham side.
oh yeah, I mean it's the story of our season. Like West Ham have been rubbish, but Bowen is still that guy. Like he's just been still consistently Bowen, even though he's had to play a few different positions, and he's probably not been had as good a season, but he's still had a better season than majority of the other players. But yeah, that's pretty much all on that one. I wrote down more notes about Sam Barrett at the time when I was after the game feeling super frustrated. Like the whole stadium was chanting, "You don't know what you're doing." It got embarrassing. We got to 105 minutes played with all the extra time, and it honestly was just like he lost control of the game completely.
He's not good enough for the Premier League. Like,
Nah,
yes, you have to
send
give
him
him
to the
chances, but
Vanarama.
for sending Farah. He's just not good enough. It's been too many times this season. It's been shown, but yeah, fuck it. I've complained about him enough. Let's move on. Let's talk more about Forest's big final day against Chelsea. I can't work it out in my head. It's probably not difficult to work out, but I'm awful with numbers. But is it simple? They beat Chelsea, they're going to get Champions League, or do they need Villa?
No, they need someone. Yeah, they need Villa or Newcastle to slip up.
Okay. I mean, still a big day for them, and I can see them turning Chelsea over. Really, I think they might be the ones with a bit more on it, and just like you say, the dark arts and everything to get them over. So yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. Their away record has probably been slightly better than their home record. Without looking at the numbers, I know how good their away record has been, but you would hope that last game of the season, something massive on the line. At least they've got some form of European football confirmed. Whether what competition that will be in, we'll wait and see. But they're fighting for something, and it's great that they're playing, or at least there's one match involving one of the other teams hunting for it, because everyone's eyes are gonna be on that on Sunday.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, hopefully Forest do win and make it interesting, but we'll get onto it. But I think Villa and Newcastle will also win their matches. So
Yeah, well, I think that's a good way to move on to the Villa Spurs. I'm 2-0 to Villa in this game. I'm not going to lie, I thought this game would be a routing for Spurs after how they turned up against Palace, but they kind of held in there. I don't know if they held in there a bit, or if Villa just weren't really at it to begin with, because that first half was dire. Like, think I was watching it on Friday night, and I was like, what on earth are we going to talk about in this game? And then
yeah,
luckily, it, like, sprung into life a bit in the second half.
yeah, Villa felt very much like they were just sort of going through the motions in the first half. Like they were creating some opportunities, but not really finishing. There's like one from Asensio particularly that was like almost
Curled.
curled in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was definitely the best player on the pitch in my point of view. Like I think there's a rumor that he might be available for that they're going to buy him for 15 million, which feels about right.
No, like, oh, I've put in my notes here, I think what he's shown in his limited time at Villa already is he's kind of a bit patchy as a player. He'll like this game against Spurs, he'll really turn up and do it. But then if he's not at it, and there'll be like every few games he won't be at it, the rest of the team isn't really at it for Villa either, I find. Like, but all the games against Palace, like, he hasn't really shown up in those, and they've not really done much. And against Newcastle, I don't know if he was very much in that game either. It's just a bit like, I don't know. I'm not really sold on him yet, and I think that's why you can see him at Villa rather than being at Madrid still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this is his level for sure, like a team that are in and around Champions League qualification rather than a team necessarily like competing to win the trophy season in, season out. He's also a fairly bit older than you'd think as well. Like,
Really?
yeah, I think he's like 28, 29 now.
Mate,
He's been around for a long time, Asensio.
I guess, yeah, because he's Madrid and then PSG and then Villa, and is there anything in between that? It
No,
feels
no.
feels older to me, but I guess he was probably there when I was still playing FIFA all those years ago. So yeah, geez, he must be.
Yeah, he's 29 years old. Just double checked I wasn't talking out my ass, but yeah, I mean, for Villa, this one it felt like they were just waiting to score. Like they didn't play particularly amazing. Like definitely didn't play to the level that they can do. But I think similarly to how they've been playing in a fair few games recently, like the Bournemouth one, like the result was what mattered. The performance didn't really matter to them. And once they got the first one from a pretty simple corner, like just I feel like it's poor defending, but
Yeah, it was
but
kind
Villa do work on corner. Like they've got a set piece coach, so they're well trained with those kind of things. So once that came, they looked confident, and it was only going to be a comfortable win from that point. And they got a second goal later, really nice decoy run from Asensio that just completely opened it up for Kamara, who doesn't score a lot, but to get a really nice goal. And then yeah, it was 2-0, and they kind of just played the game out. Like
Yeah.
the only other players I really want to sort of shout out were McGinn and Matson on the left hand side. Like I thought they combined pretty well. They like Matson's a player that I know pretty well from his time at Dortmund, but at Dortmund he was a left back who moved into like center, like one of those inverted left backs who moves into central midfield more often. Whereas in this game, and I think generally for Villa, he bombs down, a bit more orthodox like left back who sort of like overtakes on the left winger. But yeah, they were good. Yeah, what have you got? Any other notes for this one?
No, just it's literally the same as you. It was just Villa found that other gear, and once they got what they needed, it was just cool. Let's take this to the final day of the season, and we'll see if we can actually secure this Champions League, which they put themselves in a really good position to do it now. So you got to hope they're banging on the door of it. It'll be another successful European trip. Like from, I mean, I got a lot of messages after the final from my mates who are Villa fans saying we're happy that we went out to the eventual winners, and like it's nice to see a proper club actually winning something. So I'm backing them now to go get Champions League and go win that, for, and then see another proper club winning that rather than the usual top six.
Yeah, I guess the only last thing to touch on would be Emi Martinez having a pretty tearful response at the end of the match. Like, looks like he might be saying goodbye to Villa Park.
Yeah, it's mad though, that one, because he's been linked with the Saudi Pro League, which I think he's got a bit too much left to be going there, like just to pick up a
I
massive
would
paycheck.
imagine. Yeah, I would think so. I think I'd need to do some digging into this, but my initial reaction is this is a Villa balancing the books kind of move, which, like, just off the top of my head, like, they've done a couple of times in recent years with, like, Musa Diaby hits at like, John Duran and that, like they've had to sell a couple of players. They do because of the players that they're bringing in. Like, they brought in, like, obviously Rashford on loan, Marlon, like Asensio. Like, they've got, it feels like they have a fairly big turnover of squad in the last couple of years,
Yeah, but that
and I
turnover.
think that's probably down to PSR.
Yeah, but I can understand that doing with outfield players, but it's not like they have a second choice keeper who's knocking the door down. They're going to have to go out and spend big on a new keeper. So I
Mm.
don't know why you wouldn't. Yeah, why you wouldn't just extend his contract for one more year, especially if they get Champions League, and then see where they can move on from there. Because yeah, it's one that seems a bit odd for me. But if he is going, he's been a great servant to him. I mean, he is the biggest shithouse ever, and I'll be happy not to have to face him again. But I think I said in a previous episode, he's that type of shithouse where if he's your keeper, you love him. If he's not your keeper, you hate him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it would be interesting to see where he ends up and what Villa do if he
Yeah.
does go.
Exactly, cool. And then I guess we move on to another very emotional game that didn't have much on the line, but Everton's final game at Goodison, a 2-0 win over Southampton. I think I might just take this away to begin with saying I'm really going to miss Goodison Park. I went up there for the first time like 6 years ago, and it hooked me. Like, it's probably my second favourite place to watch football in England. It's, yeah, it's a proper old ground. You can like tell the history there. The fans have always been so welcoming whenever I've been up there. And I was seeing the pictures, like I was kind of gutted I couldn't be there for that last game because you see all the blue flares going off, and you just know it was an emotional but like perfect send off for Goodison Park as well, which was just
Yeah, 100%. It was the perfect Goodison Park goodbye that they could have wanted it to be. Like, getting all the legends out there, nice sunny day, like the blue flares going. I imagine it was a party around Goodison from like early hours of the morning to late in the evening. Yeah, they obviously, and then what happened on the pitch was a pretty comfortable result. Like, they started out the traps, like Ilman and Dye gets one in the sixth minute. Like, they clearly were buoyed by the atmosphere and were like, let's get this win for the fans sewn up early.
he's just a top player, isn't he? I feel like
Top.
if he was in the championship, he'd be scoring like 30 goals a season. I feel like if he can find a bit of form next year and stay injury free for most of it, he could be banging in like 15, 20 goals for Everton and could be a real driving force for them going forward. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, he's looked really good, especially under David Moyes. Like, so a full preseason with under Moyes, and yeah, he's obviously their star man. And as we know, they like we discussed previously, they've got quite a few players released end of contract, so there's going to be a lot of rebuilding with that squad, and they're going to be building around Iliman and Dye. Like,
You have to, don't you? Like, because especially it kind of looked like Decore when he was going off. It was like that was kind of it for Decore. I feel like
yeah, he
he's
might not sign a
probably.
new contract.
Yeah, I don't know if he doesn't want to sign it. I just don't think he's probably getting good
Offered
words
enough.
like coming from his agent about it either. I mean, maybe to touch on Southampton quickly, just feels like to me they've really gone out on a bit of a whimper now. They've had like
Yeah, I mean, they
This
got the
is-
point that they needed against City to move off Derby's record, and I think they kind of just turned up to this one with almost like their hands up, like we got what we needed last week. With probably like the atmosphere and everything. This is going to be a really tough day, so they kind of just they were second best from the first minute, and yeah, when as soon as Everton scored, it never felt like Southampton were coming back into this one.
No, it didn't. Like, it's just I can't really see them going down and coming back up either. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Southampton fans, and it's just like this Premier League dream has turned into a nightmare, and it could be a bit of a nightmare that Saints fans are ruined for a bit because the rebuild might be a bit bigger than they're hoping.
Yeah, I mean, from a player point of view, that they don't really have many saleable assets to like drum up a bigger transfer budget. Like Mateus Fernandez is the only player from that squad that I'd be like, yeah, that's a Premier League quality player. Like even someone like Aaron Ramsdale, I'm like, I think you've got a lot of like scar tissue. You've got a lot of damage done. So like he's been linked with West Ham, and I wouldn't be jumping over the moon to sign him
Yeah,
at all.
that's probably like from the frying pan into the fire a bit if you're going from
A
Aaron
hundred
Ramsdale.
percent. And then like for the some other like Southampton players, like I know Tyler Dibling's got this big like transfer rumor like fee attached to his name, and they've also got a youngster who they've re-signed, given a new contract to in Jay Robinson. But I think both of them could do like a time in the championship would be good for them, especially Dibbling. Like I would hesitate. I would like tell him not to be jumping straight away because I think there's been plenty of young players in recent years who have jumped at a Premier League move and then they've not quite been ready, and it's really put like a spanner in the works of their like progression. And I think a year at least in the championship of just playing week in week out, because especially on Dibbling's case, he's not starting every game in the Premier League, so for him to get a big transfer fee attached to him and then not be starting somewhere, it just doesn't feel like the right move for me.
No, I mean I mean you have, but they've also got in their squad Flint Downs, who is kind of in a very similar position. I think took the move a bit too early to a Premier League club, and then has ended up at Southampton. Shown like good spells there, but it's probably still needs a lot more time in the Championship to actually become a player.
Yeah, he's one of those that's like a top championship player. Like there's it's quite a fun exercise to do sometimes. Like who's the best championship player who couldn't quite cut the mustard at Premier League? Like your David McGoldricks, your David Nugents, and that like your yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's one of those.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a couple more things to touch, maybe more from an Everton perspective. Jesus, my brain's gone this week. Seamus Coleman, unfortunately, coming off quite early on. I don't. It's not said that it's his last season, is it, or did I miss that? Is he out of contract?
I think he's
Is
out
he?
of contract. Yeah, I think especially he's struggled with injuries in the recent years, so I would be surprised if they were keeping him about. And it very much felt when he came off with an injury that that was him saying goodbye to Everton as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a proper servant for him throughout all those years. Like I can literally remember from Palace coming up, he always caused us trouble and was just a real like stir wall in that defence for him for years and a real leader for Evertonians. But then,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess
unreal player.
last thing touched just, yeah, goodbye to Goodison Park, 133 years of football there. And yeah, I really hope they can embed into their new stadium now. And yeah, it's as good as what they've had there. Cool. Moving on then to another West London derby. I feel like we've been talking about a West London derby every week. Brentford 2, Fulham 3. A result I didn't see coming, in all honesty. Like, inconsistent Fulham proved it once again and pulled a massive result out of their asses.
Yeah, yeah, great comeback from Fulham. Like obviously went 2-1 down before half time, and two quick-fire goals from Kearney and Wilson in the 68th and 70th minute was enough for them to get over the line. Like it's great to see Tom Kearney still doing it. Like we'll touch on another one man, well, a couple of others in a couple of further games. Like one team, like well known for one team sort of players. And Tom Cairney, I know, has got a lot of love with Fulham fans. So for him to be still chipping in with he's got a couple of goals this season, is great. Like, yeah, I think he's been an excellent servant to Fulham Football Club, and yeah, it's nice to see him doing it. And then Harry Wilson's finish is just absolute peach, isn't it? Like,
It's crazy, like his two like goals of the season, both being against Brentford in like last minute winners. And
yeah,
yeah, I couldn't believe that one when I saw it. It was an absolute stunner. And yeah, he's just a super sub, really. I don't know if you saw this stat, like Fulham have had 17 goals from substitutes this year. That's an insane amount of goals from substitutes. Like, obviously the top of the Premier League for that. But it's just, yeah, how did Fulham do it? Why can they not like turn all the time? Traore had like a game where he looked to be causing Brentford trouble non-stop, and I feel like someone like Thomas Frank would be able to like set up his team to close Traore down with ease. Do you not?
I don't know. I think on the topic of Fulham having like impact players off the bench, I think they've got a lot of different players to come off the bench. Like they don't really have like for like players in these, like especially in the forward areas. Like even if you compare like Harry Wilson to like Alex Iwobi, like they're very different players. Like Adama Traore to Alex Iwobi are very different wingers. Like, yeah, Emil Smith Rowe is a very different kind of player. Like even if you compare the two strikers, Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz, like they're very different. So they pose quite different challenges for defenders, and quite often you can get comfortable with one challenge, or you can be like, all right, they've seen out this player, like, but then they Marco Silva makes one of his inspired substitutions, and the defender is no longer expected, like no longer as comfortable because they've got someone with a completely different skill set. So that's what I would attribute that to. On the Brentford side of things, I don't know how good they are at closing out games. Like,
Yeah,
they always seem to be involved in high scoring games, like quite frequently, and I mean, personally, I think Flecken should probably do better for the first two Fulham goals. What are
yeah.
you
First one that
thinking?
goes underneath him, he's weirdly positioned for it, where he's kind of like behind his line when he's diving for it already, and then it's like
Yeah,
goes under him. I
and he
mean,
gets a hand to it.
yeah, you feel like he should be saving it, and I think he's had a good season. Like from what I've seen of him, I don't know if you agree with me on that one from what we've talked about previously, but yeah, I think he could have done better for at least two of the goals in this game. But then also from a Brentford perspective, like the finish from Mbeumo for the first one is just that is elite, like Premiership quality. You know what I
Classic
mean?
Embuemo. Like, yeah,
It's
you just knew he was going to finish it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's that, isn't it? Like those Brentford fans must feel so lucky. I hope he doesn't leave like in the summer for them because he is like just brilliant there, and I think he's found his like perfect club and everything for it. But then for the pen, I mean I hate the Ivan Tony run up. Always have, or like any silly run ups I hate. But I think it was kind of just deserved. I don't think it was a pen really for the Sharda one. It
yeah,
looked a bit.
it was super soft. Like, I was, yeah, I was very on the fence about whether it's a penalty or not. So again, like I said earlier, kind of like justice. Like it didn't matter at the end of the day because it was saved.
Yeah, but I think that also gave Leno the like inspiration to go and have an absolutely outstanding game. Like keeping Brentford to two, they could have easily had three or four in the game, but he had just like five hands at times stopping everything.
Yeah, I mean Brentford came into like after they started losing in the 70th minute, they sort of came quite strong at the end of games, which they always seem to do as well. Like they're always in it until the last minute, sort of thing. Like there's always a late chance, whether it's a header or scrappy in the box or something. So, but they were unable to get something from this game, and it puts a dent in their very faint hopes of European football.
Yeah, I mean, it gives Fulham the highest ever points total, and I think they may still be able to get Europe. So we're going to take a moment here, Tom, and you're going to explain to me how eighth can still get European football, because I do not have a Scooby Doo.
So Fulham cannot get eighth because they have 4 points behind Brighton.
Okay,
But if Nottingham Forest beat Chelsea
yeah,
and Chelsea and Villa beat Man United, so that would mean Chelsea drop down to seventh and Chelsea win the Conference League against Real Betis, then eighth would get the Conference League spot because Chelsea would automatically go into the Europa League. Villa would be in the Champions League in that scenario. Forest would be in the Europa League as well. And so Villa would finish fifth, Forest would finish sixth, Chelsea would finish seventh, win the Conference League, which means eighth would get Champions League. Not Champions League, Conference League. But it is between Brighton and Brentford. You were right calling it all this time that Brighton would be the team who would finish eighth. They're 3 points ahead of Brentford, so would need to see a switch on that last day. Brentford do have the better goal difference, so it's not out but they've obviously got all of that caveat, so it is a faint glimmer of hope.
You know what, mate? From everything I've read and things I've watched, that's one of the best explanations for it I've heard.
I'm glad you would ask me, and I had actually prepared for it. You didn't ask me in advance, but I had actually prepared because I was reading this earlier. I was right, because I kept seeing it and was right, let me get my head around how this can actually happen, because at least then I can understand watching the last game of the season and understand all the permutations.
Hey, I was just trying to call you out, I'm not gonna lie. Cool.
Well, let's move on to Brighton then.
Yeah.
If we're talking about eighth, they beat Liverpool on Monday night 3-2.
Yeah, I caught the end of this game. I don't usually watch Brighton games because I'm if I turn it on, they're going to win. And obviously as a Palace fan, you shouldn't do that. But I was screw it, we've won the FA Cup, I'll watch Brighton. If they win, they win. And yeah, as soon as I turned the TV on, it was the Matoma goal and then the Hinshelwood goal. But yeah, I think for my notes for this, maybe Liverpool's hangover set in towards the end of the game. But no, I think it's more Brighton showed their quality and showed that they really do want to push for this European spot and now bring it down to the end of the line if they can.
Yeah, definitely. I think Brighton always play Liverpool pretty well in recent seasons, and Brighton have always got a goal in them in any match, really. The first goal for Brighton I think is really nice, proper Hertzler ball, they're playing one touch passing throughout the midfield into attack, and it's a really nice finish from Ayari and a really nice assist from Gruder.
You'll say it's a nice build-up play from Danny Welbeck as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all just really nice interplay from everyone involved. So it was a nice move from Brighton, and then Mitoma's acrobatic finish after a couple of Liverpool goals to get them back to 2-2.
How did he get his leg up there? It was really acrobatic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really reflective as well, like a cat, just because obviously it rebounds off the keeper, and he's just and then he's suddenly horizontal and his legs up in the air.
I'm there looking at it, if I tried doing it, I'd probably be injured or pull something.
Yeah, they'd be I'd be rushed straight to hospital.
Yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, it gives the Brighton fans a bit of hope still. If the conundrum happens like that.
Yeah, if you followed my permutations, then yes, they have a faint glimmer of hope, and it was good to see that Hinshelwood was onside for the last goal. That was VAR coming in and doing its job, because the lino had called it offside, and it was nope, nice and cleared up. It was a goal, and they were able to celebrate. Would have been nice if they were able to celebrate it in real time, but at least they got the chance to celebrate, and they deserved it. I dived into the stats after. They had more shots, more on target, more passes in the opposition half and final third. They were well in this match. They deserved their chances. I don't think Liverpool can have anything to complain about. I think they were all, as you said, still hungover from their Ibiza trips and stuff. So, yeah, Brighton got the win and puts them in with a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think there's much more to touch on that game, really. I guess there'll be a lot more to touch on after Brighton's last game of the season, so we'll give them a bit more time then. So yeah, let's move into Jamie Vardy's last game for Leicester, the King Power, Leicester 2, Ipswich 0. This is another one of these games where it all kind of just played out the perfect way for the legend leaving or the stadium going away, or just
100%. Yeah, but it felt from minute one this was all about Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
It was are there actually two teams playing? Because this just felt like it was all about one man, and fair play. He's 500 appearances for Leicester, and he got the 200th goal that he needed. Would have been agonising if he had have finished on 199. And yeah, it was, and then obviously loads of really lovely celebrations, a lot of former players, seeing like some of those like title winning players like Shinji Okazaki and like Mark Albrighton and stuff popping up to say, to cheers Leicester's greatest ever player was nice. But yeah, it really felt like a testimonial kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it, didn't it? It felt like a bit similar to the Everton Southampton game. It feels like Ipswich kind of turned up, but as soon as that first goal went in, it was game over, and it was just like, cool, we're kind of at the Jamie Vardy party now. Let's just get this over with and get back to Ipswich, really. Like, it's
Yeah.
another one. I think I said with Southampton, I felt they went out with a whimper, but I feel like since relegation's been confirmed for Ipswich, they've really gone out with like a bit of a tail between their legs, and it's just like, we'll feel a bit sorry for ourselves here. I mean,
Yeah, from an Ipswich point of view, like I think they attacked pretty well. They created some chances, but they defended pretty poorly. Like there was more than just the chance that Vardy got. Like he had a couple of others that he ran through on, and Casey McAteer gets another goal for Leicester. I don't know if you saw, but there was a really nice photo of him as a ball boy from like must have been 10, 12 years ago or so, when Jamie Vardy scored one of his, I think it was his first Premier League goal or something for Leicester. And then obviously he's scoring in Jamie Vardy's last game at the King Power, like celebrating with him sort of thing. So it was a nice touch.
I did see that, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I was quite drunk on Sunday, as you can imagine, and
Fair enough.
I thought Jamie Vardy was the ball boys.
I mean, it seems like a Jamie Vardy thing to do. At his age, he'll just turn into a ball boy next
You
season.
know, when you just assume like it's like, oh, Jamie Vardy's last game, so they'd be like, oh, from ball boy to scorer. I just thought it was that. Oh, I'm
You
such an
didn't, but
idiot.
yeah,
Jamie
you
Vardy's
must have
probably the
been
picture
so
of
many pints deep.
no, mate, it was only champagne on Sunday.
Oh.
Oh god, but
Yeah, I mean, other things for Ipswich, like I think they've got a fairly decent squad. They obviously lose Delap and Enciso was on loan. Might lose another couple of players, but I think they'll keep a fair amount of the squad together. And if they reinvest well, then I think they could be in with a shout, especially if Kieran McKenna is the man, like the coach that he's promised to be, sort of thing.
I think they're the ones with the best chance of coming back up because I feel like they're going down. Like you say, they may leave the big players, but they'll keep the core together, hopefully. And with that coach in charge, he'll know what it means to, well, what to do to get out of the Premier League, and then come back and have experience in the Premier League to be like, okay, this is what we need to do differently next time. Whereas Leicester, it's good and weird that they found quite good form late on. Like I think they're 3 points above Ipswich now, when before they were miles behind. But you're very wide for them now because they're looking like they're in PSR trouble from the Premier League all over again. And I don't really know the ins and outs of it. I've just seen that they're like being referred to an independent panel about it. But that,
Yeah, it doesn't sound good for Leicester if they're getting like if that's still dragging on and they're linked with Russell Martin to replace Van Nistelrooy, the former Saints manager, and he might be a good enough Championship manager, but if they're going to go through a lot of squad upheaval, then who knows? Like,
yeah, I mean, he's. I don't know if you've caught any of Russell Martin's recent media work. Like he did a bit on Match of Day 2, and he did a This Is Football interview, and he came off really well in all of it as well. Like you hope he's maybe learned like, yes, you can have your playing style to get you to one place, but once you get to that place, you need to be like, cool, okay, let's take a step back. I can be a bit more flexible, but yeah, a bit worried for Leicester in all honesty, but what will be, I guess, for them. Anything else you want to pick out for that game? I feel like we've taken the bones of what we could.
yeah, let's crack on.
Nice, cool. Then we'll move into the game I was at last night. Palace 4, Wolves 2. Thought it'd be a bit of a dead rubber game. Thought we'd get battered 3-0. But yeah, it was quite a feisty game for periods, and it was a testimonial for other periods. It was all a bit strange in all honesty. But I think the main thing I took away from the game is obviously Joel Ward's last game, an emotional goodbye to Sellers Park, a leader for us for 13 years, and it was honestly a fever dream to watch him walking out of the tunnel with the FA Cup at the end and celebrating with past and present Palace legends. Yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere last night, but also give a lot of credit to Wolves. When they put the team out, I wasn't too sure if they were going to turn up to play. They very much turned up to play, and their fans turned up to have a good time as well, and yeah, it was actually quite an entertaining evening, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it was a decent little game. It very much felt like a pre-season friendly kind of vibe, or like a
Yeah, I agree.
testimonial sort of thing, where it's like it was just a celebration party for Palace. Like from as soon as the fans got to Selhurst, I'm sure it was the vibes were immaculate. Like
Was like one of the most raucous nights I've ever seen at Selhurst. Like you have raucous nights when like the Cristambull when the third goal goes in to make it 3-3, and it's like crazy from there. But this was crazy from like 30 minutes before kickoff until like an hour after kickoff when they came out to do like a lap appreciation and like do some speeches. It was just like
yeah, must
it
have been
was
a late night for you.
yeah.
Like
It's one brain's not
from the
working today.
game. From the game, like it was a lot of backups really in place, like obviously understandably for Palace's side of things. And then I think from a Wolves side, they're probably on the beach mentally a little bit. Like they had that amazing run, got out of trouble and everything, and then they've lost their last three matches, including this one, and it's kind of just like a well, we're just having that breather after, but I also think it's a good reminder of what you said a couple of weeks ago for them not to get complacent after that run. Like, they still need to reinvest. Like, I was watching the game and I'm not really a fan of Bellegarde or Guedes. Like, they were both like, I don't know, they both just didn't seem to really cut it for me. And
No, I
that's not just in this game either, but it was like this game I watched them closely to see if they were gonna prove me wrong at all.
No, I'd agree with you there. I mean, one player that's turned my opinion on him, Aidan Ori, was brilliant for Wolves last night. I thought he was causing a lot of trouble. He was getting the ball to pin round Palace's box quite a bit, and yeah, I take it all back. Like I think you said, maybe one of the first pods we did. You think he's one of the top, what was it, right backs in the league? And I was
Left back,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, he's like, yeah. I've been putting my team of the season together. Spoiler for our end of season pod, but yeah. And there's a Eight Nori, there's Kirkers, there's Robinson. That left back spot is going to be tough to decide on. So, yeah, no, he's a good player, and yeah, from a Palace side, I think the backups coming in, they're playing for their place in next year's European squad now. Like, there's actually something to play for. Like Glasner's come out and said that they're going to have to increase the squad size.
oh,
It's
100%.
good to see Nketiah getting a couple of goals. I'm sure he needed that as well, having obviously not started very much this season.
Yeah, it's nice knowing we got Nketiah, like, and he can score as long as he's within 5 yards of the goal. He'll be able to score. Now, only joking, he did score quite a good first one. But then a couple of raw talents coming off the bench. Oh, not well. Eza actually starting, Romain Eza, sorry, for anyone that isn't aware. He's a very, very raw talent. He did really well to set up the first goal with a nice bit of skill, but yeah, I think he's got a long way to go. And then Francher coming off off the bench for us, very raw talent as well. I think he needs to buy some longer studs though, because he fell over about 16 times in the
Yeah, there
game.
was particularly one embarrassing one where he's on the counter attack and he just slips. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Francher's very raw.
very raw, but very Palace player though. But yeah, I think we spent enough time on Palace already. But so yeah, we'll
Yeah,
move on. But I'll just say bye to Joel Ward, a true Palace legend. Cool.
yeah. Let's
Nice.
crack on.
Yeah, move on to one of the losses for the other 14. We have Man City 3, Bournemouth 1. A bit of a spicy game with two red cards in it, which I couldn't quite believe when I saw it at this stage of the season. I mean, don't want to talk about City much more, especially after the final, but that Marmoush goal, we probably got to take 1 second just to
Ah,
say
it's unreal.
that goal is. I don't understand how it happens. I don't understand how it goes. It dips. It does what it does.
Yeah, Kepa's got no chance saving that. Like, it starts so far outside the goal and then it like hits absolute like postage stamp sort of like it's perfect.
Do you
Like,
think that's goal of the season? I think it's got to be goal of the season.
yeah, there's been quite a few good contenders, but I think it'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough talking about City. Just I felt like we hadn't touched on that goal. Yeah. I think Bournemouth. How we're going to have an uphill struggle no matter what in this game, weren't they? Like City were going to have to
Yeah,
come out and show some nerve because the only thing they've got left now is that City spot. And yeah, I think Bournemouth were kind of just swept away when that first goal went in, and they were playing catch up after that, especially with not much really to play for, even if they did get the win. Do you agree?
yeah, it would. I mean, this was a tough ask. Like, I want to give props to all the Bournemouth fans who made that trip up on
Yeah,
a
massive
Tuesday
trip.
night. Like, long trip, probably not going to get anything. Like it would have been a special night if they had got something. Like they, especially in De Bruyne's last game, and once that first wonder goal goes in, it's just kind of like they had a couple of chances. Like Evan Nilsson could have got them on level playing terms.
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't to be. And yeah, you mentioned the red cards. I think it's a fair red card for Cook. Like I think he's a bit reckless and showing studs, and it's like yeah, I think it was a fair red card.
I think the unnecessariness of it probably does make it a red card. I think like I've seen challenges like that not get a red card this season, even though they probably deserve it. So yeah, I guess as per the rules, yeah, definitely a red card.
Yeah, and then late consolation goal for Bournemouth from Daniel Jebison, who gets his first league goal this season. Like, well, he's still a young player, so I don't want to count him out, but I am not that impressed by Jebison. Haven't really been since he sort of made those appearances for Sheffield United when they were up there. He spent half the season this season on loan at Watford and didn't really make an impact there. He's got a couple of goals in the FA Cup for Bournemouth, but this is his first league goal this season. So nice little consolation. It was kind of like a deflected goal anyway, but yeah, something for the Bournemouth fans to cheer before they made that long trip home.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. I think that's everything as well we need to pick off this game. Now for a game which I don't know, I've got nothing to pick off this game if I'm being brutally honest. Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0. Yeah, I watched some of this game, but it was a snooze fest for me, if I'm being brutally honest. What did you take away from the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Newcastle probably slightly hard done by losing the game. I think they created loads of opportunities to score, but they just met a goalkeeper on absolutely top form. Like, he's just making really, really good saves. I think they really missed Isaac's clinical touch. Like, Wilson's a good striker, but he's not started enough games this season. I would question his like match readiness or like match fitness, like, or is like, I don't know, especially with a striker, you kind of need to be in good form a lot, or at least like playing a lot so that you're involved. And he's just always coming off the bench. So I think it's a tough ask for someone like for a striker to come in and just like hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think he's getting like the service he'd want as well from Gordon. I don't know. I feel like Gordon kind of fallen off a cliff at the end of this season. I think he did have a bit of injury as well, and I just think he hasn't really bounced back.
Yeah, I don't think he's recovered from that injury. I mean, I'm not Gordon's biggest fan, but like
I wasn't his biggest fan, but then there were some performances he put in, and you just had to stand back and be a bit like, fair enough. Like he basically helped them get through that League Cup semi-final against Arsenal, where he put in like a performance of the season, and then yeah, it was just in this game not even this game, in a few games, just haven't really seen him put much out after that, I guess.
Yeah, and then Newcastle pushed at the end, but the players looked exhausted, and that I think that's a problem with their squad at the moment. Like it's quite thin, so
Yeah,
you're going to have that, and yeah, they probably could have got a draw out of this game, but it was like they just lost to a really nice goal as well. So
Yeah, true. I don't know if you saw at the end, it all got a bit heated. And in my notes, I was like, did this get heated because Arsenal players wanted to show the fans like they care or something? It was all a bit like a fake heatedness between the two teams. That's probably a horrid thing to say, but I was like,
well, I think there's a little bit of tetchiness between these two clubs in recent years, so there's probably some of that like spilling over. But
like when the ball went out but didn't get called, that went out.
Yeah.
It's one of, there's something really false about Arsenal fans and Arsenal as a club. Like, I'm just there like, oh, but I'm probably got myself into trouble there. Cool. Okay, so that's all the games for the week. Do you want to take a break and then we'll come on to Peak Barclays and final day predictions?
Let's do it.
Okay, and we're back. So, Tom, who do you have for our Peak Barclays this week?
So, I've got a Danish midfielder built from concrete and mad as a box of frogs. I've got Thomas Mad Dog Gravison.
Absolutely fantastic. One of the players that I've only heard the best stories and the funniest stories from since leaving since retiring from football. Do you have any stats for us on Gravison?
Yeah, so let's run his Premier League stats for you. So he's with Everton from 2000 to 2005 and then came back in 07-08 on a January loan. He played 149 times, scored 11 goals and got 10 assists. More importantly, got 34 yellow cards and 2 red cards for Gravison. As a player, he was a full throttle tackling machine. Loved to sort of pelt a shot at goal. Didn't get a crazy goal numbers, but a decent contribution, and just like the faces he would make after scoring or after a crazy tackle, they just stand out and live long in the memory.
They really do. I love that as one of the stories that when Real Madrid bought him, they bought the wrong player. They actually wanted Lee Carsley and they took Thomas Gravison, which is just...
Well, apparently he didn't want to go. Like, he was just at the training ground and they were like, your car's ready, mate. And he was like, no, I don't want to go. Like, I'm happy here.
Oh my God. I don't know if you or any of our listeners have ever listened to Under the Cosh, but there's a Sci-Ferry episode on it about Thomas Gravison, and I would implore everyone and anyone to listen to it. It does get a bit blue in times. It's a very different podcast to our one here, but some of the stories, man. It's like when he turned up to play for Celtic, they're like, oh my God, he's coming in from Real Madrid. He rocks up, he's like rustling for his boot, looking for something. They're like, must be looking for his boots. He pulls out a pool cue and then just walks into the pool room. He's like, I have you all now. And it's just, there's so many stories about him.
Proper character. Like, there's multiple stories about him shooting fireworks in training, one involving Wayne Rooney that David Moyes was telling, like, in the training gym at Everton. Like, he shot a firework in the training ground. Like, yeah.
Did you hear about when he tried to beat up Robinho as well in Real Madrid training?
Yeah, and the manager was, I think it was Capello at the time, was just like,
what is this?
What am I doing with this guy? Like, what can I do? Like, he never took instructions. There was I can't remember one of the stories I was listening to, they were saying it was back at his Everton times, and they were like, he was instructed to sit on Cloud Makalele, and he was told not to chase the ball. And every time the ref would blow his whistle, the ball would go up in the air, and Mad Dog Gravison would just be running after the ball, and Moyes would be shouting at him, "Thomas, no!"
Oh God!
He was like, "I just have to. I can't help it."
Another one of my favourites is before an Old Firm derby, apparently, he's in the tunnel, he's turned to one of the Rangers players like, where's a good place to get food, lad?
Yeah.
They look at him like, what the fuck's going on? Apparently he's been running around the pitch like doing it the whole time. And I'm just there like, this geezer is a nutcase. But he was a player as well. That's the thing, wasn't he? In that Everton midfield, that's the year they got Champions League, wasn't it, when he was playing with them?
Yeah, he was in that part of that important 2004-05 season, and yeah, he wasn't like a sitting midfielder. Like, he was an all-action midfielder. Like, where it was box to box, getting around, contributing everywhere, all over the pitch. Like, regarding his goals, he nutmegged Fabian Barthez in one, and he got a brace against Palace. Sorry, mate.
I remember that. Was my third ever game as a Palace fan. I think it was.
Oh.
It was when Speroni gave away the pen and we went 3-1 we lost that day. But yeah, in the start of that relegation season. But yeah, I remember his bald head very, very well from that day. What interesting facts do you have for us on him? I mean, off the training, like, post-career, interesting fact is apparently he lives in a gated community in Las Vegas that also Nicolas Cage and Andre Agassi, the tennis player, live in as well. So, yeah, he interesting character is old Thomas Gravison. So I didn't know that. I knew he was like number 1 or 2 in the world at COD at one point. He was like making money off that, but I didn't know that. And now I think he like does online gambling as well, so that's probably why he's in Vegas. But yeah, where do you rank him on our list? I'd probably put him, I honestly, for stories and Peak Barclays-ness, I would put him almost third. Would you agree? Like, I'm thinking of the Everton kit back then and how good Everton were that season. Well, under Moyes, with him in that midfield.
So we got Viduka, Gamps Pedersen, Jaskalainen, Balassi, and then Kenwyne Jones.
Definitely above Balassi.
I'm going to say behind Jussi Jaskalainen, because I think Jaskalainen had a lot more longevity and impact, and also played part of a incredible Bolton team.
Yeah, fair. I think we've gone off
So
that longevity before, actually, haven't we? So I think that's a good one for us to keep fair throughout. So yeah,
yeah,
Thomas Gravison, you mad bastard! Thank you for the stories and the Peak Barclays-ness. Cool. Okay. Let's move on to the final predictions then for the season. Where are we going to start? Bournemouth, Leicester, final day. Nothing to play for here. I'm gonna go probably a 2-0. No, I'm gonna go 2-2 for some reason. What about you?
interesting. I think Bournemouth get a win on their last home game of the season. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, nice then. Fulham City. I don't fuck Fulham, man. Why are they so inconsistent? You know what? Screw it. 2-0 Fulham, and City's Champions League maybe crumbles and they have the worst season they've had in recent memory.
I can't see Fulham getting a result when they don't need any. Like they're not playing for anything against a City side needing a win. So unfortunately, I'm going to go 3-0 Man City.
See, your reasoning is exactly why I think Fulham are going to get.
Oh, 100%. It's Fulham. Like I'm going to be wrong. I think I've called every Fulham game the opposite.
Cool. And then Ipswich and your Hammers.
Ipswich are finally going to get their day in the sun that you've been calling for about 6 weeks now. Like every week, Ipswich are going to have a good game this week. They're going to win this one. This is going to be the game that they win because it's West Ham.
Yeah, and I'm going to make it my lock of the week.
Cheers, mate.
Ipswich 2, West Ham 0.
Thanks. I am still going to back my boys. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham.
Cool. Then the hangover derby, Liverpool Palace. 3-0.
You're not going to Anfield, are you?
Yeah, of course I'm going to Anfield.
Nice.
The worst thing, I was meant to be going to Anfield and then go into the title celebrations with my mate who's a Liverpool fan because I didn't think we'd be doing any. Now we're doing the parade on Monday. I'm going to have to go up to Anfield Sunday morning, stay there that night and come back Monday morning for the Palace parade. I am going to be some sort of state Tuesday when we pod.
I was going to say, so no chance of us podding on Monday then. We'll be podding on Tuesday.
If you want a live pod of me on top of a building in Ford, well, probably on top of your house topless with a flare, we'll do a live one together.
Yeah, it won't be the first time you've turned up. Yeah, I mean, I'm going 2-0 Liverpool on this one.
Yeah, I'm Liverpool win, man. United Villa win for me in this one. I think whatever happens in Bilbao for United, I just don't think they're going to turn up or care. So, and Villa need it, don't they? So I'm going to go 3-1 Villa.
Yeah, I think it'll be tighter than that. I think it'll be 1-0 Villa.
Cool. And then Newcastle Everton at home, St James's Park, fortress for me still. Newcastle wanting to bounce back after the Arsenal result. I could see this being maybe, this might be harsh on David Moyes, but I could see this being like a romp, like a 5-0 almost, like just one of those last day, like massive scoring games.
Maybe. I mean, Everton, they had their day in the sun with the Goodison Park goodbye. Like, no one will be expecting them to get anything really from this game. I think they'll make it tighter than it probably should be, but I do think Newcastle will get the win. I'm probably going to go 2-0 Newcastle.
Nice, cool. And then Forest Chelsea. I know I said earlier I think Forest might be able to do it, but now looking at the team names, I honestly think it might be 1-1, and I'm going to feel really bad for Forest fans.
Yeah, I'm also going for the score draw, but I'm going to go for Desmond 2-2. Yeah, I think Forest, they'll huff and they'll puff in this one, but it probably won't be enough for Champions League.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Forest fans. I want to back you, but I've got that feeling now. I've looked at it, even though that is probably the stupidest logic ever applied to a football prediction. Cool. And then Southampton Arsenal. I'd like to be like St Mary's, have your big win of the season, have a good day out, and make Arsenal season look a bit worse. But to be honest, it's probably going to be a 4-0 Arsenal or something like that, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, Saints don't have a bad record in this fixture, really, in recent years. Like, not as bad as you would expect it to be, but still going to be a really tough one. I think it'll be 3-1 to Arsenal.
Nice, cool. And then Spurs Brighton. I think I'm going to lob this in with my prediction for the United Villa game. I think whatever happens in Bilbao, Spurs ain't going to be there. I mean, Ange might not even be the manager of that team by the time this game comes along. And Brighton have something to play for. So, as I've said, Brighton are going to get that 8th spot, I think. And I think they'll pull off a pretty comfortable 2-0 win at the Spurs Stadium and have maybe a famous day out if they manage to get Conference League as well with everything going their way?
Yeah, I think they'll comfortably beat Spurs. I think 3-0 to Brighton, and then they'll all be huddled around someone's phone or transistor radio trying to find out what the result of the Chelsea one was, and then hope that Chelsea win the Conference League. They will. So, yeah, that's what I've got for Brighton.
Nice. And then final game, Wolves-Brentford. Score draw. 2-2. I'll get Desmond in there as well.
Yeah, tough one for Brentford as they're like trying their last chance, and even then it's a small chance of getting that 8th spot. But Wolves, I think, are probably on the beach, and so I think I'll go with the Brentford win 2-1.
Nice, cool. Okay, just to wrap up there, I think, over the summer we're going to be looking to hopefully do some podcasts with fans from other teams and get a bit more information on how people from other teams think their teams have actually done, rather than having to listen to a West Ham and Palace fan talk about it. So, yeah, if anyone's interested, feel free to email in at other14fcpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on our socials at TikTok, Blue Sky and Reddit at other14fc podcast. But otherwise, we'll catch you guys probably next Tuesday or next Wednesday to see how the final day of the season went. But apart from that, I'll just say bye to you, Tom, and hopefully I'm going to get some sleep now and be sober again soon.
Recover in time for the title parade, for the FA Cup Champions Parade, mate.
Oh, will do, buddy. And yeah, have a good one. I'll catch you later.